Good morning / afternoon, depending on if you're in my third house or my fifth house. First of all, I want to thank either Chloe or Jared for giving up their laptop. Also, either CJ or Calvin for giving up theirs. Super appreciate it. Thank you guys for doing that. So today we're going to start our Laws of Exponents unit, which is actually going to be a short one. We're going to be testing next Thursday. So if you didn't feel like systems went well yesterday, then hopefully Laws of Exponents will go well and it can boost your grade a little bit. I'm super sad I couldn't be there today. I love Laws of Exponents. I love starting this unit off. But I think if you guys work together, starting the unit off will be good, and then we can kind of wrap things up tomorrow. So you're actually going to be making a foldable, and to make a foldable, there's steps involved, which is why I made the video. So there's steps. And then this foldable is crazy important. It will hold all the information you need for this unit. Do not lose or ruin your foldable. It's actually on cardstock paper. So hopefully right now everybody has a piece of that green cardstock paper. Hopefully everybody has, this says cardstock. Hopefully everybody also has scissors. And then hopefully everybody also has a ruler, or at least somebody around you has a ruler that you guys can share. Okay, so cardstock, scissors, ruler. If you don't have it, pause the video before we continue, because we're about to make our foldable. So you're going to follow these steps carefully. Fold the paper hot dog style. So I have a picture of what that's going to look like. Your foldable in the end is going to look like what I have in that picture, but you need to fold your paper hot dog style, which means it's going to be long. And then you're going to divide the paper into sixths. Now, a lot of you think you might be really good at it and can eyeball it, and some of you may be perfectionists and want to actually measure it out. It doesn't super matter to me, but like I said, we're going to be using this for the entire unit. You're going to have to take mini quizzes, and you get to use your foldable on the mini quizzes. So the nicer and better it is, the easier your quizzes are going to be. So divide your paper into sixths. I marked it, like if you want to use a ruler, the line should be at 1.75 inches, 3.5 inches, 5.25 inches, 7 inches, and 8.75 inches. This last box down here is going to be a little bit bigger than the other 5, but that's okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut the front of your foldable into sixths, just the front flap. So see how I cut right here, and I cut right here, and here, and here. You're not going to cut the second page of your foldable, just the first. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and pause the video so everyone can take a moment to fold the paper, divide it into 6, and then cut it, and then we'll move on to the next part. So go ahead and pause until everybody's ready. All right, so now hopefully everyone's almost finished with the cutting part, and so you can go ahead and label the foldable tabs on the front. And these are the powers that we're going to be working with this unit. So we have product of powers is the first one, and hopefully we'll get to cover some examples of it today. Then we're going to do power of powers, and then power of products, quotient of powers. We're going to do negative exponents next week, and then we're going to talk about exponential and radical forms next week. So these are the guys that we're going to cover this week, and hopefully you'll get pretty darn good at these 4 right here this week. But if you could take a moment to go ahead and label your 6 tabs on the front, that would be awesome. Go ahead and pause the video to give everybody time to label the 6 tabs on the front. Alright, now that your 6 tabs are labeled, if you see when you open your foldable up, we have it divided into 12 boxes. And a super easy way to draw these lines right here is to keep your tabs down. So I have, you can see my picture right here, I have 1 tab up and 1 tab down, and I took my pencil or pen and I drew this line right here. And then I flipped my next tab up and I drew this line right here, all the way down. So I ended up with all of these lines. And then I took a ruler and divided this like that. So that I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 boxes. 2 for each power. So if you want to take a moment to draw these lines right here while you lift your tabs, it helps keep them straight. And then draw one line right here so you have 2 boxes in your foldable. If you want to pause the video and give everyone time to do that, that would be great. All right, so here is our first rule, and it's called product of powers, which sounds really crazy. And so what I've tried to do is give it to you in normal words that you'll see every day that might actually make sense. And so if you could, on the back of your product of powers tab, I would like for you in words to write this right here. So on the back of your tab, I want you to write multiply coefficients and add the exponents of common bases. So go ahead if you need to, pause the video, and if you could make sure everyone gets this written on the back of your product of powers tab. Okay, product of powers. So remember how we divided our product of powers, or our foldable? We have the tabs, and then we divided it into 2 boxes. Goodness. So it's like your tab is over here, flapped out. And then these are the boxes inside your foldable. So in one box, you're going to put your example with numbers. And so here's an example of product of powers. Remember I said that they multiplied the coefficients, and so multiply the coefficients. Our coefficients are the big numbers, 5 and 7. They took 5 times 7, and they got 35. And then they added the exponents of the common bases. So they saw that they had a base of c, but they didn't have a c over here, so they just wrote c squared right there. And then they saw that they had a d squared and a d to the 5th, and it says add the exponents. So 2 plus 5 gave that 7, so they have d to the 7th. So they multiplied the coefficients, and they added the exponents of common bases. So again, I want you to write this example underneath the tab that says product of powers in that one box. Go ahead and write this example down. So there's one with numbers, and then I like to do one that has variables as exponents. And so think about it. Our bases are the same. Both of the bases are x, so we left x the same, x, x, and then another x. And then remember it says add the exponents. So I'm adding m and I'm adding n, and that's where this m plus n came from. So we added our exponents. So go ahead, and if you need to pause the video so everyone gets these examples written, these examples are what's going to be in your foldable. This is what's going to help you on those quizzes when you take them. So make sure these examples, and whatever you need to draw to remind yourself what they did, or write to remind yourself what they did, remember they multiplied the coefficients and they added the exponents of the common bases. So go ahead, pause the video so everyone can get caught up, and then we're going to do some example problems. Okay, if everyone could get a blank sheet of paper to take notes on, this sheet of paper is going to be helpful if you could maybe just keep this with your foldable, or even fold it up and put it inside of your foldable to use as a reference. I think that would be a really good idea. So if everyone could get out a blank sheet of paper, maybe even pause the video to give everyone a moment. And then if you could title this section of your blank sheet of paper, so not the entire blank sheet of paper, maybe title the blank sheet of paper Exponent Laws. Let's do that. So title it Exponent Laws. And then underneath it, this is going to be our first exponent law, and it's called product of powers. And these are the examples that are going to go with it. So if you want to take a moment, pause, make sure everyone gets in the right spot. maybe get these examples down ready to go, and then we're going to work our way through them. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do these examples and talk about it. Remember, you multiply the coefficients and we add the exponents. So I'm looking at this example, the d to the third times d to the fifth times d. There are no coefficients out front, so there's nothing to multiply. All we're going to do is add our exponents together, because right now our common base is this d. So we know our answer is just going to be d to some power, but I need to add all my exponents together to figure out what the power is going to be. So 3, 5, and then this d does have an exponent, and it's a secret 1. So I'm adding 3 plus 5, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9. So this is just going to be d to the 9th power. I just added my exponents together. This next one, remember, multiply your coefficients and add the exponents of the common bases. So here are my coefficients, these big numbers out front. It says multiply the coefficients, so 7 times 4 is 28. And then you have to add the exponents of the common bases. Well, I see I have an s, and I have an s here. So I know I'm going to have an s over here. And then I add my exponents. 2 plus 4 is 6. And then I also have a z, and this guy has a z too. And then I add my exponents. 3 plus 6 is 9. So this answer is going to be 28 s to the 6th, z to the 9th. All right, let's talk about this next one. Again, just think in your head. Multiply coefficients, add exponents. Multiply coefficients, add exponents. Here we go. Our coefficients, the number out front, 6 times 3 is 18. I'm looking for my common bases. I see a w here, I see a w here, so I know I'm going to have a w. And we add our exponents. 4 plus a negative 1 is really just 3. I see I have a d, I see I have a d, so it's d to the 3 plus 2 is 5. 18, w to the third, d to the fifth. Okay? And for this last one, there are no coefficients. There's nothing out front, so I'm not going to multiply anything. But I see I have some g's that are all being multiplied together. So I have g. That looks crazy. Sorry. And then I'm going to add all the exponents together. So I have to take 3 and then 1/2 and then 3/2. And 3 plus 1/2 is 3.5. And then 3.5 plus 3 over 2, do we know? It's 5. And now I'm going to look at my s's. I have an s here, I have an s here. And then again, adding exponents, 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, so this was product of powers. What I think I want you all to do next is go ahead and work on the 10 problems on the worksheet. So if we could get the worksheet passed out, it's titled Exponent Rule Practice. There are 10 problems, so you guys can practice product of powers. If you guys would like to work with someone who's around you, no need to get up and move though, but if you'd like to work with someone around you or check answers with someone around you, that's totally understandable. I'm going to include up at the front of the room, there's an answer key if you would like to check as you go to see how things are going. And then if everyone kind of gets done with those 10 problems and you guys want to move on to power of powers, that rule, you can. if we're running out of time, because I don't know where we are in class right now, then we might just get through one rule. But go ahead and pause the video, practice those 10 problems, and then if you're ready to move on as a class, go ahead and unpause the video and learn the next rule. And if you're not, then just finish those 10 problems. All right, power of powers. So under your power of powers tab, this right here is where you're going to write the rule in words. So if you could write, keep your base the same and multiply the exponents. Keep your base the same and multiply the exponents. If you need to pause the video to get everyone on the same page, please do. Okay, this one's going to have 2 examples in each box. So we have 2 examples with numbers, and then we have 2 examples with variables. So if you could go ahead and copy those down, that would be awesome. So in the last rule, we added our exponents. In this rule, we're multiplying our exponents. So in this first example, 2 to the 3rd power and the whole thing's to the 4th power, my base is 2, so 2 stays the same, and then I just multiplied 3 and 4 and got 12. This one over here, our x is the base, so x stays the same, and then m times n, you would just write as mn. So you keep your base the same and multiply your exponents. There's also one where you take the exponent that's on the outside and you apply it to everything that's on the inside. So the 3 is going to go to the r and it's going to go to the 4. So there's kind of a step in between this where it says r to the 3rd all over 4 to the 3rd. And r to the 3rd we can't actually do, but 4 to the 3rd is the same as 4 times 4 times 4, and that's where that 64 came from, if that's helpful at all. Also in your calculator, if you didn't know that, you can take 4, there's something called a caret key, so 4 to the 3rd power, and that'll get you 64. And so with the example with variables, they just took the m power and distributed it to both the x and the y. So on top is x to the m power, and on the bottom is y to the m power. So if you need to take a moment to make sure we have those examples down in our foldable, remember, this is what you get to use on your quizzes, so make sure your foldable's in really, really, really good shape. Make sure you have anything written down that will be helpful or beneficial to you on a particular quiz. Alright, here are the examples that are going to go on your note sheet. And so remember we labeled the note sheet exponent rules. And so you have one section called product of powers, and now you're going to have this section called power of powers. So go ahead and title it power of powers. And then go ahead and get those 4 examples down before we do them really quick. So again, if you need to pause this video, go ahead and do it, and then we'll talk about how to solve all of these. Okay, so remember you keep your base the same, and then you multiply the exponents. Well, here's my base x, so I'm going to keep it the same. And then here are my exponents, 4 and 10, and 4 times 10 is 40. X to the 40th power, boom. This guy, keep your base the same, and multiply our exponents. 1/3 times 12, or 1/3 of 12, or 12 divided by 3. Boom. This next one. Remember we talked about distributing the exponent to the top, and the bottom. And then we're multiplying our exponents. So keep your base the same. I'm still having t on top. I'm still having v on the bottom. But my exponents, Remember, I'm multiplying. 6 times 11, 66. 3 times 11, 33. T to the 66th, B to the 33. Easy enough. This last one, keep your base the same, multiply your exponents. 20 times a fifth, or a fifth of 20, or 20 divided by 5. Boom. All right. I'd love for you to go ahead and pause the video and try those next 10 problems on your own, the power of powers problems. Again, the answer key is on the front in the front of the room on the board under a magnet if you'd like to check answers as you go. And then we'll pick up where you guys left off tomorrow. Hopefully we got through up until this point. If not, that's okay. You're not listening to me anymore. I will see you Thursday.